Here we go. Welcome everybody. What we're doing here today is the past paper for 2023 for IT, which is Information Technology, the csec paper 1. And paper 1 are multiple choice questions. So the first question is, we're here at number 1. Which of the following is considered computer hardware? So computer hardware are like your physical devices such as your keyboard, your mouse, your webcam, your web camera, your CPU, your central processing unit is also your hardware, and random access memory, your ROM, is also hardware. So they did not list that in our options. Our options are data, programs, output devices, and operating system. And the thing with hardware are actual physical devices. So data is not a physical device, programs are not physical devices, operating systems are not physical. However, the option C is our output devices. So our correct answer is C, output devices. Question 2. To use a program stored on a flash drive, the program must be transferred onto. So what this question is really asking us is the program, right? So the program, which is our software that needs to be executed. And the only way for that to be executed is that the program must be delivered onto the central processing unit. But connected to our central processing unit is our random access memory and also ROM as well, and are also connected to our central processing unit. But the question is asking us, the program what comes from the flash drive has to be transferred onto which of these devices? Now, random access memory is memory that is volatile. Well, what that means is when the computer is powered off, the random access memory loses all of its information. So therefore, the answer for this question is B, the random access memory. Just bear in mind, ROM and PROM and EPROM has memory as well, but the software stored on those memories are hard-coded, except for the PROM and the EPROM. But the whole idea is that when the computer is switched off, the memory is still, the software is still stored on the ROM and the PROM. But however, for the RAM, you could have program from your flash drive. When that program has finished executed, you could run another program. So therefore, it has to be the RAM, the random access memory. Question 3. Which of the following devices is most likely to be used on a point of sale system? So the important thing here is point of sale system and most likely. Check this out here, most likely, and I will tell you why that is important. So what is a point of sale system? The point of sale system is those devices that the cashier uses. The cashier would use. So if you were to go into a supermarket like Massey Stores or Extra Foods, you would hear every time the cashier scans your product, you hear beep, beep, beep. What that essentially doing is that is reading a barcode from the cornflakes or the soft drinks or the milk that you would have purchased. What on the label, there is a barcode. And what the point of sale system is using is reading the barcode. So therefore, a point of sale system definitely will have a barcode reader. However, in our options here, no, number 2 is not alone. They have 1 and 2. For A, for C is 2 and 3, and then for D, they have 1, 2, 3. So there has to be one other device attached onto the point of sale. So which one is it? Definitely not an optical mark reader, because optical mark readers are used for those lotto machines, well, those cards that lotto machines read, those require optical mark reader, and even the machines that are used to even mark this paper, the multiple choice questions, what is used to mark those papers are optical mark readers. So therefore, option 3 isn't there. So by process of elimination, we are looking for 1 and 2. And when you go to your supermarket, pay attention, you would see that there's also a touch screen. Many of them, 99% of them will have a touch screen. So the answer for number 3 would be A, 1 and 2 only. Moving on, question 4. Which of the following would not be considered cloud storage? So cloud storage essentially are, so once again, number 4 would not be important, would not be considered cloud storage. So essentially cloud storage are servers that are located off-site. So they are remote servers and they're usually accessed via the internet. So let's go through them. Option A, data stored on a remote server. So definitely A is an description, a very correct description of cloud storage. It is, but the question is what not be. Okay, so would not be considered cloud storage. So therefore, not number A. B, data stored and accessible on LAN. So LAN means local area network. That is actually not a definition of cloud storage. That is actually a definition of local storage, because LAN stands for local area network. Remember, cloud storage requires the internet. That is what the definition of cloud storage is. So it would be internet, or WAN, which is wide area network. So we won't even bother to go through C and D, because we know just right off the bat, B is the answer, because this is not cloud storage. This is actually local storage. Question 5. Which of the following is the best reason for using cloud storage instead of local storage? So this here, best reason. This one catches a lot of people. This one trips up a lot of people. So cloud storage, one of the best conveniences of it is that it is stored in remote servers in secured areas, and even redundancy. Redundancy is where you have multiple servers, if not 2 servers, storing your information. So therefore, if one site was to go down, for example, electricity was to go down on one site, the second site will still have your data. So that is a form of security. That is one of the main advantages that cloud storage have that local storage doesn't have. Now, a lot of people might think, well, it's cost. A is cost, but when you really think about it, most cloud storage, you pay a subscription service. And after a few years and a few months, that cost adds up to the same sort of price you would pay for your own hard drive if you were to have a local server storing that data. So cost may not be definitely not one of the best reasons. C, capacity. Cloud storage still has not reached the same capacity as local storage, because you would have hard drives which are more or less cheaper. You would buy 1 terabyte. If you want to buy 1 terabyte hard drive, the price you would pay for 1 terabyte storage, again, remember, it's a subscription service. Cloud storage is rarely you'll come across cloud storage that has the same kind of capacity sorry, you will not have cloud storage that is not a subscription service. So in a sense, you pay for cost and capacity more over time. You pay for that in the long run. D, ease of use. Yes, we might think ease of use, but it's not the best reason. It's really security. Security is the best reason for cloud storage because two-factor authentication is a big part of cloud storage. Username and password, big part of cloud storage. Right? So the answer for 5 is B. Number 6. So this diagram here, item 6, refers to the following diagram, which shows the basic operations of a general purpose computer system. So just by looking at this, many of you might remember first thing you would have learned is the IPOS cycle. So I for input, P for processing, O for storage. Many of us would know about that. So that's what this chart is showing us. So essentially, W will be input, X would be process, Y would be the output, and S would be storage. Now, how you know S is storage is because you will have the double arrows going back and forth, because X would be writing to Z when it gets trying to store information, and then the storage would feed back into the process. So that is our indication of Z being C, storage. Okay, storage. Number 7. Which of the following devices is used to input data into a computer? This one is an easy one. It would be mouse. Mouse is an input device. The question is to input data. Input data. Speakers do not see USB flash drive. I could understand why C would be tempting as an answer, but actually C is a storage device. D as well, external hard drive are storage devices. They do not in any, when we're talking about computers, input data and storage, downloading. When we talk about input and downloading, those are two different concepts when we're talking about computers. And I think that is what they were trying to test you here. Whether if you think download and input are the same thing, but input and downloads or data transfer, two different items or processes when we're talking about computers. Number 8, which of the following types of interfaces is the user required to remember specific instructions and syntax? Well, this one might be a bit tricky. This one might be a tricky question. So what they're saying is, let's read that question again. Which of the following types of interfaces is the user required to remember specific instructions and syntax? So you might be telling yourself, well, that is Pascal or C++. You know, and then you're looking, but wait, no, I'm not seeing Pascal or C++ or programming as an option. Well, the question is asking a type of interfaces. So the different types of interfaces, and you're using one right now, which is called, if you're using Windows or if you're watching this on your phone and Android, those are actually graphical user interfaces. But the thing is, when you're using a graphical user interface, you do not need to remember specific instructions and syntax. That would be those MS-DOS screens with the text and the black screen or the blue screen behind it, where you have to type in dir for directory, and you have to remember how, if you want to make a copy of a file, you have to say copy, then you have to enter the name of the file and the destination of where you have to remember copy the file. So that would be command driven. The answer would be command driven. Number 8, D, command driven. Number 9 refers to the following model of a globe. So we're printing a globe, and they're asking us the printer most suitable for creating a model of a globe is, well, because a globe is a three-dimensional item, it will be 3D printer. This one should be, everybody should get this one correct. I'm not even going to get into that too much, but laser printer is what you use for paper, inkjet printer, paper, thermal printer as well, for you can even print on different types of surfaces, apart from plant-based surfaces. Number 10, which of the following protocols is used to ensure the web browser and servers communicate with each other? This one, what they're asking us is how do web browsers, so web browsers would be like your Google Chrome, your Firefox, your Safari, Internet Explorer. Those are web browsers, and servers to communicate with each other. And your servers would be where your websites reside, for lack of a better word, reside. So servers would be where the Google servers are. So what they're asking us is which of the following protocols? So option A, IP, that is Internet Protocol, which might be tempting. A could be a very possibility of an answer. B, File Transfer Protocol, or FTP, that is used for like downloading directly from servers. You don't need a web browser. In fact, to operate the FTP, you can use other software as well, but they're asking us about web browsers and servers to communicate with each other. VoIP, or VoIP, or Voice over Internet Protocol. That is what telephones, devices, which uses voice or audio. So voice is transferred via audio, data back and forth. And D, HTTP, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. You could just look at your Google Chrome. When you enter a website address, you will always see HTTP in front of it. So web browsers use HTTP as a protocol. IP address Internet Protocol, that spans all internet devices use IP. But the questions was asking us about web browsers and servers. Number 11, this symbol represents our Wi-Fi. I mean, this one, everybody should see this everywhere. Wi-Fi. 12, unauthorized real-time interception of private communication on a computer network is referred to as, so let's read that again, unauthorized real-time interception of a private communication on a computer network. So basically, this is kind of like, we could say, interception of communication. So you ever hear about when people eavesdrop on each other, just in its traditional sense? So let's say your neighbor is talking to your neighbor, and you just happen to hear that conversation. That is what they're talking about. So that is eavesdropping. And because we're dealing with computers, that is kind of like electronic eavesdropping. So the answer is D, electronic eavesdropping. It won't be identity theft. It will not be propaganda, and it will not be industrial espionage. Also, industrial espionage might seem similar, but it is not the same thing. Question 13, double entry data verification involves, so verification and double data entry. So this first part should give you a clue already. Double entry data, sorry. So let's go through the answers. A, different data entered once. Well, definitely not A, because the data is entered once and we're talking about double entry. So that's not an option. B, the data entered being copied onto another device. That could be a possibility. Let's go through again. C, different data entered once by two different persons. As they would say, once by two different persons. But what sense does that make? How does two different persons enter data once? That not even making sense. How is that even possible? And let's read the last option. D, the same data entered once, then re-entered by another person. Now, entered once, then re-entered by another person. So that's kind of like double. That sounds like a process where the data has to be entered double by another person. So it would be D, same data entered once, then re-entered by another person. Think of it like this. When you are trying to set up a new password, you ever see the option where they ask you, well, enter your password, and then below, confirm your password. That is to make sure you enter the same password twice and that you yourself did not do any typos or errors in choosing a password. So that is a form of double data verification when you have to enter your password twice into a web when registering for a new account. Question 14, a web developer is important to a company because this person is, well, somehow option D is missing. So let's forget about that. A is responsible for the company's website. B, assign website addresses to all users in a company, not necessarily. And C, backup web files and stores the data at another location. No. Web developer is a person responsible for the company's website. All right, number 15, which of the following sequences shows an increase in computer's memory capacity? So what they're asking us is to list in order the smallest to the biggest. So for example, if you were to put grams or in order, so we have grams, then we have kilograms, and then we have a ton. So we're kind of like going in that order. So we're basically looking for megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte. So that would be option B. So a gigabyte is bigger than a megabyte, and a terabyte is bigger than a gigabyte. Simple. Everybody should get that one correct. Number 16, in the URL, http://www.shoes.com, shoes.com represents not the extension, not the domain name. Some of us may think is the company name or the internet company or your internet service provider, but it's not, it's actually the domain name. All right, so we're going through question 17. Which of the following statements about biometric systems is false? A small amount of memory is used to store the data. No, actually that is true. Small amount of memory is used to store the data. That is actually true. B, the user has to be present to use the system. Of course, that is correct because that's the whole idea of biometric systems. So for example, a biometric system is where you would put your thumb onto a scanner, or sometimes it would be a retina scan where they scan the back of your eye and verify that that person is who they say they are. So definitely B, the user has to be present to use it. C, personal data captured is very intrusive. or it could be D, the level of accuracy is very high. So it's definitely not D because the level of accuracy is very high. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using it. So the actual answer is C. Personal data capture is very intrusive. So the data is not as intrusive with biometric systems. 18. Which of the following types of technologies is commonly used by banks to read data on checks? So the key word here is check. So if you look at a check at the bottom of it, you would see some numbers. And those numbers tend to be black for the most part. And the reason for that is that those numbers have a magnetic charge on them. So the whole idea of it is that here every check has to go a magnetic reader to verify the numbers on the check. And the reason for that is it reduces the possibility of fraud. So those are magnetic ink character readers, which is D, right? So just going through each of the acronyms, I shouldn't say acronyms, abbreviations. POS is point of sale, OCR is optical character reader, and C is optical mark reader. Number 19, transferring data from a remote computer to a personal computer is referred to as, so let's try that again, transferring data from a remote computer to a personal computer. So an example of that is transferring data from a remote computer to a personal computer. That would be A. It's definitely not browsing. And if it was the other way around, we transfer data from a personal computer to a remote computer, it would be C, uploading. But it's A, downloading. 20, the data that has been processed and that has meaning is termed. So data is just numbers on a screen. But when we try to make sense of it or process it, it now becomes information. So data that is processed and that has meaning is information. Data that is stored is storage, and data that is displayed on a screen is output. Number 21, telecommuting can be best described as, so we have using the computer while commuting. That's definitely not it. That is to see if you're paying attention. B, using the telephone while commuting, definitely not. C, working from home by connecting home and office. Possibility. So D, working from the office after establishing a connection at home. So the answer would be C, working from home by connecting home and office. C. 22, the process of scrambling messages at the sending end and unscrambling at the receiving end is called. So when data is scrambled, it is encrypted. In computer terms, scrambling messages is a process, is also another name for a process called encryption. And then when you unscramble that information is also another way of saying decryption. The reason for that is when sensitive information is being exchanged or in transit from one source to the other source, the best thing to do is to encrypt it. So just in case it's intercepted by an unwanted party, the data makes absolutely no sense to that person unless they have a way of deciphering or ciphering or translating the message. So, or decrypting it. So that would be encryption. A, coding might be a tempting answer, but that is not coding. You may write code to write the encryption, but this process that they are describing here is scrambling messages, and unscrambling is encryption or decryption. But the options that we have is C, encryption. 23, which of the following is not a hardware component of the computer? So just like number one, they wanted to test your knowledge of hardware. And now they're testing your knowledge of if you know what is not hardware. So a data file, so we would always try to remember hardware is what you could hold in your hand. You could touch it, you could see it. So you could see the main memory. The main memory is your RAM. You could see that when you open up your computer, you can see the RAM. C, peripheral devices. You could see peripheral devices. You're actually looking at a peripheral device right now. D, the central processing unit. That is what you call your processing chip. That is what it looks like, the processing chip. So B, C, and D are what you could see, but data file is what you cannot see. So on to our last question here for this segment, we have, which of the following can be termed as application software? Oh, I love this one. I love this one. So when it comes to the topic of software, we have application software, we have utility software, and then we have system software, or called our operating system. So this question here is asking us application software, but application software is not your operating system. In fact, you need an operating system for an application software to work. So think of operating system as the grandfather and the application software as the children. Or another way of putting it, your application software is what your computer needs to run on. So operating systems are what your computer needs to run on. So your operating system would be your Microsoft Windows, your Mac OS, your Linux, your Android system. Back in the days, you had MS-DOS as one, and there's another one besides MS-DOS. Oh gosh, can't remember that one. It's the name slipping me right now. So MS-DOS, Linux, your Mac OS, those are all operating systems. However, Google Chrome runs on top of your operating systems. So if Google Chrome is a web browser, and that is also called an application software. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned while I continue from question 25 all the way up to 60. So just showing you the answers here. Question 1 is C, 2 is B, number 3 is A, 4, B, 5, B, number 6, C, storage, 7, mouse, A, number 8, number 9, number 10, 11, 12, 13, number 14, number 15, 16, 17, number 18 and 19, number 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So there you have it, the solutions from questions 1 to 24 for past paper 2023 Information Technology CSEC. So stay tuned, follow, like, share, and when I post up my next video, you will get a notification. All right, so thank you. If you need any extra lessons, feel free to contact me. My information will be in the bio, and I'll see you next time.